Hanwha have decided that that first pick option is going to be very, very important. And we'll see whether it is actually going to prove to be so. Whether that gets on Fleek the Hecarim or not is kind of the question in my mind, as Ari is going to be banned away from Vikla. Well-deserved ban.
Yeah.
The KT mid laner.
Absolutely. Vikla, I think, is the strongest 0-4 player you'll ever see, right? His stats don't actually show how good he has been and how much of an improvement he's been for KT here. And his two most impressive games were both on the Ari. As we see the Jinx ban here as well for aiming, and the LeBlanc also taken away. It's been a very strong pick here for Vikla. That was another one of the champions he played. So a lot of really nice targeting for HLE Esports here in this first phase. Not necessarily picking the strongest meta picks, but just some of the picks that KT are really good at. And I mean, Ari, I guess, does often find herself in this blue side first three. Will we see Twisted Fate left open is the question. The answer is yes, because Hecarim, not something you want to give on Fleek.
Yeah, this sort of the must ban. Karma is going to be the lock-in though here for HLE Esports. So wanting to guarantee one of those strong bottom lanes, and with so many AD carries still left up, I kind of respect it.
Yeah, it makes playing the Aphelios very difficult here for KT Rolster. And I think KT might actually just wait to see what that AD carry pick is going to be with the Karma first. Not a big fan of this one because you could be running into Caitlyn Karma, you could run into Ezreal Karma here with this pick. But, you know, we'll see because it's not over till it's over, right? And if Cuz actually outplays on Fleek, makes a lot of trips down, it can be a liability to push that bottom lane in super hard. And they will be able to get the Nautilus, which is a great defensive option when you do get pushed in here. So
yeah,
don't hate it when you see the Nautilus locked in with it, but I mean, I still hate it a little bit, but not as much as I would otherwise.
I don't know what kind of other options KT have there, right? Like, because you can't really pick Caitlyn Lux because they just straight up lose to a Karma lane and you're able to do what you're supposed to do.
I think you just wait and try to pick a more niche pick and get value elsewhere in your draft. You know, if you wanted to grab the Xin Zhao here, could have picked that one up early, or something like a Lee Sin.
True.
But either way, they've locked in their choice, right? And now HLE Esports have their pick of the litter. They want to push with Caitlyn, they want to push with Ezreal. They've got both options, and they will be able to pick up the Lee Sin here for on Fleek early on.
I would
like Twisted Fate as well, actually.
I'm actually kind of okay with this, because if you think about it, there are 3 AD carries that work very well with Karma at the moment. That is Jhin, Ezreal, and Caitlyn. And KT only have 2 bans left. So you may as well lock down the Twisted Fate and just have extra power picks here and understand that you will be able to get something that's going to work.
Yeah, you also then get to have a strong power pick on the top side, you know, that works well with Twisted Fate because they can't ban everything, right? They can't ban you can ban 2 of the 3 AD carries, but then you don't have any top side bans. As Galio will be locked in here for Vikla, so this is when things get a little bit crazy, but I think HLE Esports with Twisted Fate be pretty happy to play Camille themselves, so you're going to have to pick this one as KT if that's your plan.
I think this is screaming for a Jhin pick for HLE Esports. They want to keep the range. I like the Ezreal ban as well because, of course, similar idea. Stay at range, fire these Mystic shots, avoid just getting collapsed on. Because KT being able to fight you when you've dove on top of them, very, very strong. KT just trying to stand in a huddle and make use of this Galio composition basically doesn't do anything. So very much looking forward to seeing whether Hanwha are going to keep going more for this like pick off long range style.
The Rek'Sai ban here is obviously something that works well with Galio's ability to roam topside as Caitlyn's removed, so shocker, but the Jhin is the one that stands out, right? As you and I have been saying, for HLE Esports here.
I mean, Kate does the same thing, right? So like they're between rocks and hard places, and then more rocks and boulders and all sorts of things.
So they decide to ban the Gwen here instead of the Camille, and you know, I think that even with the long range that Jhin has, with the Karma here that can help speed everything up, you're going to have a hard time if it is going to be that heavy dive style. This is certainly an interesting way to make Aphelios a really, really fun hyper carry, but
I mean, it's not going to be picked blind. Like, blind Shen right now into a solo lane sounds like just
a nightmare.
Absolute disaster.
Especially into a Twisted Fate composition. It'll be the Xin Zhao that comes through here instead, and they'll save that counter pick for last on the top side.
Maybe they're trying to scare Dudu away from picking the Na, which Shen has historically had a decent matchup into. I don't know how it fares at the moment because we haven't seen Shen for like 600 years.
I feel like Xayah is super strong here, you know, considering the fact that KT Rolster have a comp that's fairly low range in its follow-up. They did decide to go for the Jhin that you and I were saying was the most common
it's
answer.
Samdi, right? So it was definitely going to happen. As Sion going to be picked up as well. An interesting choice. Does give them a whole bunch of frontline. And, I mean, what is Rascal going to pick to stop a Sion? Even if you stop a Sion, you don't stop a Sion is kind of what I learned in solo queue for quite a long time.
This makes the Camille a pretty easy call, though, I think. And
that's true. They do kind of go into it face up.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a big issue for Hanwha Life Esports in the late game. Also, Hanwha Life Esports have a pretty significant magic damage issue here, as Twisted Fate will be able to do a little bit of that, but he's not really going to be a magic damage dealer. He's going to be set up an initiation for your team.
I've got good news because KT have the same issue but maybe worse.
Yeah, that's true actually. Looking at it, so I guess we're just a note. We're anti-AP here in this best of 3 in the game 1.
Yeah, a little bit of extra true damage options as well, as Rascal can ignore a fair bit of what Sion's trying to do. So Camille feels even better. So Dudu picking more for composition and for early game, as Sion can absorb a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I mean,
but still, as the game goes on, I don't think anyone's going to be catching side lanes against KT's composition.
No. Also, the Aphelios will be able to put a huge dent into Sion later on, because he's actually going to be able to itemize correctly for that. And once he gets into range of the Sion, we'll be able to rip through that health bar. And Jhin, on the other hand, is going to be really just follow-up damage for what is an insane amount of initiation here for Hanwha Life Esports. I mean,
and a lot of pick as well.
Yeah, I mean, they have a comp that can work out with the follow-up long-range damage for the Jhin, but I think if they don't get a lead early and KT Rolster, soar through this mid-game and they can follow the Twisted Fate with this Galio, this comp definitely is the stronger one for late-game teamfights and for the side laning issues.
Yep, absolutely true. I actually really like how KT's draft developed. I think at the beginning of the draft, Hanwha Life Esports had so many options, but were then kind of corralled by KT in what they decided to put together. So I like the adaptation. I'm very interested to see how it is going to go, because the amount of displacement, the amount of get away from me options that KT have is actually ridiculous. And the Hextech Ultimatum as well as the Crescent Guard. It's a lot of, you can isolate a single target, and if both Cuz and Rascal are on the same page in these fights, they'll be able to get on to the target that they want. They choose Karis maybe, or Samdi, depending on who has been funneled the most resources this game, get rid of them, and then where does the damage come from?
Yeah, also if On Fleek tries to engage in, it's really easy for Cuz to just send him into the middle of a death chamber of, the Aphelios, the Nautilus that's going to follow up on him. It's so challenging for On Fleek to actually engage. He needs Karis to set up for him, then he can go in and look for the kick, and then try to get out as soon as possible. If he can kick someone from KT towards Hanwha Life Esports, then follow the queue away from KT, maybe it gets a little bit easier. But this is going to be an interesting one. I think it's going to be messy, and we could talk about these comps so much, and we have already, kind of broken down some of their win conditions, but it's, at the end of the day, 2 of our weaker teams here in the LCK, and it's going to be execution-based, right? Sometimes I think, even though it's our jobs to do so, we do analyze these super hard, and at the end of the day, it's what happens on the Rift today, right now, that matters more than what these portraits will show you to the left and right of your screen.
And also a lot to do with what happened back at the team house as well, right? These are teams that are at the bottom of the standings, and it does a lot of stuff to your mentality, and not a lot of it's positive when you're at this position, as Samdi's going to run away from aiming. Actually aiming winning that one very, very hard, as Life was battling Vista in the meantime, but they still managed to get the shot. And this is exactly what the Jhin Karma lane says on the tin, right?
Yeah, this is one thing.
Have push.
This is one thing that, regardless of individual performances, you're really not going to miss out on this Hanwha Life Esports. This one is pretty guaranteed.
Yep.
I do like that we're seeing a big resurgence of Karma this week here in the LCK, because it was all about, okay, well, we just pick Jinx into the Aphelios and we're fine. And now it's now that Jinx is being banned, just going back to the Karma is the new way to make sure Aphelios' win rate drops down. As aiming is one of our more winning Aphelios players. Remember, this is a 4-10 KT, and he's 5-2 on the champion. When he is given it, he does great things.
Yeah, no, exactly right. I think one of the reasons why a lot of our teams have shied away from the Karma is that they love giving initiation and engage to their supports. It's been so incredibly popular. The rise of the Rakan, Leona, Nautilus, all of these supports are so incredibly important
Even
to a lot of these teams. Alistair comes in if all of those are banned, right? You're exactly right. So let's have a look. This is going to be the Aphelios Nautilus win rate, and it's actually doing pretty well right now, as you can see.
Yeah, and it's one of the best champions you can pick up for the Aphelios early. I really like how they drafted it with the Nautilus. That's why I was saying I didn't like the Aphelios, but when you get the Nautilus here, you feel a lot safer against some really strong dive opportunities that Hanwha Esports will have with Twisted Fate, with Lee Sin, while this lane is pushing in. When those two champions hit level 6, you know, we will see Vikla have to match a dive. We will see some crazy fighting down there on the bottom turret. And, you know, with the Nautilus, you have a lot of defensive options in those moments. This has historically been pretty good for TF.
Yep. Twisted Fate generally is just in a better spot than a lot of these more roam-heavy style global champions in the mid lane. A little bit more reliable, but you understand why the Galio's picked into it. It's to, you know, potentially follow if anything does happen. Hasn't necessarily worked so much in the past, but we'll see whether it does so for KT, especially with the composition that they built up for themselves with the Camille that does synergize so well with that Galio. As Hanwha do manage to get a little bit of a stun down onto Life, who was just trying to buy some space before aiming to get what he wants done. As Cuz is going to go for a gank here towards the top side. Hookshot comes down. The flash is still going to get that stun. Rascal is so good at the Camille. They are easily going to grab themselves first blood. It goes over to Cuz. And Dudu, as the zombie form, is not going to be able to get anything done.
I mean, the first champion I casted of Rascal when I joined the LCK last year was the Camille. I remember it was opening day of spring last year, and he got the first kill. And I was just like, from then on,
it was probably a solo kill.
It was. And I don't remember who it was against, but you know, it was a moment like that where I was like, okay, this guy, I should definitely, you know, continue to zoom in on. And he is overextending here a little bit.
Oh, that was cute.
Nice, sweet.
It's not really going to work as the flash comes through, and Rascal is going to run on Flake's dead. Almost dead. If he had have gone for that kill, he would have definitely died.
Yeah, caster blessing, I suppose.
Oh my God, Rascal.
I mean, he sweeped it well. He got his Q to get a little bit of health back, popped his biscuit, and is just able to heal through. I mean, this is, he was greedy, and he should have been punished, but he was not. So
I really want to see what Unflake did, because I was pretty sure he was dead.
Yeah, and this is also the power of Jin Xiao before the Lee Sin has 6, right? You can come up and make plays like this, chain the CC together with the Camille, which is why we see Camille so often with Twisted Fate compositions. You know, post 6, she can lock people down. As, let's watch this again. Goes for the flash forward. And turns thinking he hits the auto, but Rascal's Q gives him enough health back. He just thought it was enough. Always make sure you have the kill before you turn away.
Yeah, I guess. It's, I don't know, grasp. Guys just
grasp is
grasp, I guess. It's just the way to make it work. Very, very nicely done there from Rascal. As you can see, Dudu was able to stay in the lane for a lot longer, so does have now a decent CS margin, but I don't think that that's all that relevant. Cuz moves down towards that bottom side. He'll collect himself the Ocean Drake. And it's all business as normal here for KT. A great start for them. However, Hanwha still with a fair bit of money. They've got Twisted Fate to help out with that one. But I think just with how this comp is going to work as the game goes on, the amount of options and flexibility and win condition that KT has, I do really like it. Because they're the ones with a whole lot more side-leaning capability, right? It's only really Karis that's going to be able to match in sides. Yes, Dudu can theoretically catch waves under turrets and stuff like this, but he's not going to be threatening. He's not actually going to be putting on pressure. It's more like a 4-1 style of composition, I guess.
Yeah, and in this early game, if you could catch Rascal making an over-aggressive play, then Destiny Gate to the top side of the map, and then Gold Card into a big charged-up Q, like there's a way you could kill Rascal with this Twisted Fate, but I think your focus is really going to be on the bottom side of the map where you have this Karma push going through. You have a Lee Sin who can kick through the turret and actually push through and grab some kills bottom side, get this Jin ahead. As we've seen, Jin is not a champion that always just pops off when he gets fed, but in some compositions, especially ones like this one, if he gets an early lead, he can actually really help you push the snowball forward.
Yeah, we've seen Ghost do stuff like this, actually. It was in his most recent series. Didn't really work out in the end, as Samd is also going to struggle, as the flash has to be used to get out of the way of the Moonlight Vigil. Decent snare, but Samd, no health to come back in. And KT really starting to get some control back. Yep. Even in the lane where they should have a lot of power.
Exactly, and down here in the mid lane, we did see Karis had to back off as Cuz came over. So looking for an advantage here on Fleek. Vikla's with him.
A decent little sidestep there, but not going to be able to deter them. And
Rift Herald spawning here.
Yeah, bit of a fight towards the top side as Rascal's going to take a fair bit of damage from the Decimating Smash. One thing I want to like draw your attention to as well is you're talking about the fact that they have to play through their bottom lane. Well, Life hasn't done their homework for that as well. You can see all of the vision that's strewn towards that dragon. That's all about watching what Karis is going to do. Recently it was cleared out because of course you want to see it from sort of that red side jungle of the blue side of the map.
Yeah.
Down towards that bottom lane. That's worn off now, but you can see the control wards that are there. They understand what they need to do to try and stop any sort of aggression from this twist.
Also, like, the fact that they traded health back so well in the bottom lane in that last 2v2 exchange meant that there was no way Life Esports could realistically leave the bottom lane, and that's an Aphelios that gets left down there. So they had to stay. They had no mid-prio because what did he do right before the Rift Herald spawn? He aggressively pushed onto Karis, gave Vikla an insane amount of push there. Rascal has topside prio, so KT are winning in every single regard right now. They have vision across both sides of the river, top and bottom here. There is nothing they don't know about in this bottom lane, which was quote-unquote where they'd be at their weakest. They actually have a CS lead right now, and that's with Nautilus, of course, you know, adding a little bit of those with his support item. But,
yeah,
I mean, KT in a very comfortable position right now against the comp for Life Esports. They drafted a Twisted Fate. They haven't been able to get any value out of it just yet because they haven't had lane prio. The clock is ticking, though.
Yeah, this is about the time when you want Twisted Fate to make that first move, though. And as you can see, the map is so dark. Rascal also going to go for a little bit of aggression here on towards Dudu. Hextech Ultimatum comes down, but meanwhile on the bottom side of the map, Depth Charge comes in. Cuz looks for Samdi, finds the Audacious Charge, and the Jhin is so incredibly dead. Life is going to go down as well, and OnFleek uses him to taxi his way out. But in it goes Cuz, tries to find a little bit more Q connects, but otherwise not too much.
Most importantly though, enemy AD carry is down here. This gives aiming free farm on these plates here with the Crescendum. It's going to force OnFleek to stay down here. And that's a really terrifying thought, you know, when you have this much pressure on the top side of the map and a very angry Galio would like to ult over there if Dudu wants to try to trade this one back. So a lot of free plates didn't drop the Herald, actually. If they had gotten both of the kills there, you know, I think they do drop that one down. If Aphelios gets all the plates, then we see the lane swap come through. But either way, he's still got that tool, and might just wait and use it now on second Drake. As we go back to the depth charge engage here, only hits Samdi, but the follow-up is beautiful. Cuz is right in there. The Glacial Augment going to keep him there long enough. Then it's a really nice kick play here from OnFleek to make it a 1-for-1.
I like the taxi move, as Cuz not really able to help finish that one off, so he's punished just a little bit for heading underneath that turret, but still. Good news here for KT on the bottom side of the map, and I think their composition has a lot of longevity as well. So honestly, the slower and quieter and more even the early game is, I think it does benefit KT Rolster.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. And you know, with the Drake spawning here as OnFleek, you know, or rather Cuz can drop the Rift Herald, like you basically have this one on lock, or you can force Life Esports to lose so much if they do commit. Rascal's teleport's coming online, and he's going to be able to come down here if they really wanted to force a fight. Obviously, we'll have to walk from one of these lanes because it's not unleashed yet, but KT get this one. Like, Life Esports don't have enough control over bottom. The Rift Herald still hasn't been dropped just yet, as really wanting to get the most value of this, but I think if they wait too long, definitely some wasted advantages here for KT.
Yep.
Once again, can look for a bottom dive and then set up there. I think that's where they ideally want this. His aiming's under a little bit of fire.
Yep, Deadly Flourish is going to come through to stun him up, but he just moves out of the Curtain Call. Life takes the last bullet, but he'll be absolutely fine. And so the Curtain Call not actually going to find too much value here, as Karis now has himself armed with a heal. That Destiny hasn't been used yet. We are going to have to keep our eye on that one because we always talk about this with Twisted Fate compositions. The first Destiny, so important, and he hasn't used it.
Yeah, I know, and like, why draft this way if you're not going to try to get value out of this ultimate? I mean, it's the whole point of your composition is the Twisted Fate getting ahead. You have the prio and bottom side, but Cuz is really just outplaying OnFleek at every turn, and I think that's what's made this, in part, so difficult. The vision control you've mentioned several times is really also limited.
Timing out, by the way.
Yeah. This is what I was saying, like, you gotta use that or you lose it.
Okay, well, he ends up spamming the button. He's sweeping inside his base. I don't think he was actually expecting any vision in there, as it's going to book it. Up the bottom lane, Rascal fighting Dudu here. Doesn't find the hook shot though. A rare little mistake as he fat flashes over the wall. That is still flash going to be used there.
That's pretty massive for Dudu.
Yeah.
He's going to be able to keep his, and still is a Twisted Fate. Will eventually use his ult.
Well, that's a deadly sin. Sorry for not catching that one sooner, ladies and gentlemen. He just kind of popped.
Yeah, he just disappeared.
Yeah.
Magic trick here from Cuz. 3 kills in this early game, and now the Rift Herald, because of this kill, allows you to make this dive happen. So
it was all planned.
Yeah, it's all calculated here from Cuz. He's like, no, just wait.
Yeah.
Kill the Lee Sin.
He even swept inside the base so that he could see whether Harmolife Esports knew that he was placing down the Herald.
Yeah, just make sure they don't know he's got that delayed Herald drop. He doesn't leave anything to chance, does he?
Yeah,
just
I guess not.
All according to plan. Well, a lot of this gold being onto the Xinjiao is not ideal. Like if, KT Rolster had more of the gold on the Aphelios would be amazing, but at least those plates do go over his life.
Oh no! Oh, that was, oh please. Oh, okay. Oh man. Oh, so sad. All right, well, Vista had a heart attack, but he's actually still alive, so it's fine.
No summoners burned on the side of Harmolife Esports here. Life just doing life things over the wall as he does.
It would have been even better if Vista wasn't looking at his screen at that point in time. He was checking out the bottom lane and he just walks away and didn't even notice that there was a missed hook. Oh dear.
These things do happen. But
it's the hitbox, guys. You know, like Nautilus Q hitbox. It's really small. It's a really small hitbox, so it's a tough one.
We always talk about the 17 million reasons Nautilus is the best support, and this is just one of those other ones, right? This hitbox, but he doesn't pull it off this time, right?
Yeah.
But he did scare a bunch of people, and sometimes that's what it's about for life. It scares me in the draft every time when I see that set hover. But
wait, did aiming also ult?
Yes, he did.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not even just the Q. Cool. Well,
but it's okay.
Let's stop talking about it. We can stop talking about it. Let's not dwell on the past.
Yeah. No. Let's focus on the future, which is looking bleaker for Harmolife Esports at every passing moment. As Rascal once again, he's got his Sunderer now, and you cannot compete. Lucky you had that flash advantage, eh? Because otherwise you DED dead.
Yeah, he would have definitely been dead. Spelling aside, as Life gonna miss another hook, as Karis does the walk slightly forward trick. It's a goodie. Oldie but a goodie.
On Fleek here has the bottom duo actually in mid lane to back him up on this, so even though Rascal did force Dudu out, he had teleport, so it's not really a risk for him to take this Rift Herald. And I like that KT are just going to go, well, you guys can get maybe nothing from this Rift Herald, maybe a charge, but we're going to get a whole turret and deep vision on the bottom side of the map. Cuz going to steal some of On Fleek's jungle. And Cuz, I mean, this guy's been super inconsistent this season, but he is definitely the stronger of the two junglers in this first game.
Yeah, and when he's on, he's really on as well. Cuz definitely one of these feeling players, and when he's feeling it, definitely looks good. As On Fleek going to be able to help grab this outer turret, doesn't even need HLE to do so. But as you can see, the map is still so dark, and it's a Twisted Fate composition, right? As Rascal diving onto On Fleek. There's the heroic entrance, but the kick to get him out of the Hextech ultimatum means that they're not locked in. That is going to keep him alive. This is the one guy that can do that. So it was an odd choice.
If Karis was a little bit faster on the trigger finger, if he was a little bit more aware of this setup, he could have actually Destiny Gated and tried to turn that and lock down Rascal gold card there and look for a fight with this Lee Sin. But he does not. Still hasn't used his ultimate this game. Still has not gotten any value out of this Twisted Fate priority. Nice attempt there from Vista, but
yeah, sometimes you just got to go for it.
As they have the faster group up on the third Drake here. And it looks like KT Rolster are just going to try to use this Camille power on the top side of the map to get value elsewhere and give this one up.
Yeah, without the heroic entrance and the Hextech ultimatum, not wanting to actually go for anything.
Karis.
Karis is rotating over. It is going to be Cuz stealing away this blue buff as well.
He's just stolen so much of On Fleek's jungle this game.
The Drake being given up is interesting, though. I was expecting KT to fight for it, really valuing both of their solo lanes ultimates here.
But he is
aiming Gale Forces to get himself out of the way. Decent Deadly Flourish there as Aiming's chain CC'd, but underneath the turret he is going to be okay, surely, to take down this outer turret, or do the best that she can. There's the Moonlight Vigil. This one's going to connect, but it's not going to quite do enough. Vikla flashes out of the way. The Crescent Guard comes in. Turret is still up in this mid lane.
Not in the top lane, though. Rascal takes that one out, and this is 2 turrets now for the second Rift Herald. They got the bottom turret and all of On Fleek's bot jungle. Then turn it around. Okay, they're going to try to push the Rift Herald into the mid lane. They get a charge, yes, but Rascal gets the full turret, does not expend his teleport here. So 2 turrets in total for just 1 charge worth of value. And now he's going on to on-fleek.
Well, that's a kickback, but the Destiny is now finally pressed. That's what that button does. Very cool. The train's going to come through as well, and Rascal's really dead. He will be taken down here. On Fleek looking to try and secure it, and the Hextech ultimatum comes out just to celebrate. And On Fleek will secure the kill. So, with that collapse towards the top side, they do stop Rascal's pressure, but he did do a lot of damage.
Yeah, I mean, he also was able to, he kept his teleport because he didn't use it during that last Rift Herald fight, so we'll be able to just go straight back to where he wants to be if he wants to go to the top side of the map here on respawn. And also, a ton of extra free farming for Vikla on the bottom side of the map. Was untouched, got some deep vision up there. And, he's starting to get some good side laning done. So this was not without a big loss for HLE Esports on the bottom side of the map. At least they did get that Drake, so that's going to buy them some more time here in terms of these objectives. But time is definitely on KT's side. As the Aphelios is getting more and more fed, he is going to be able to rip through that Scion health a lot easier, 10 minutes from now.
Yep. We saw as well, Rascal was thinking about Hullbreaker, decided to go back to Ravenous Hydra instead while he considered it. I do like that, a little bit more team fighting power for the Camille, and she is one of the split pushers that can team fight very, very well. So you may as well get another item that works in both situations.
Yes. I do like the sentiment there, but it's a Scion also, so you just don't really need it that much in terms of that 1v1 and against a Twisted Fate. Like, you're also fine, so... Vikla gonna have a little crescent moon over his head for a second, but On Fleek was definitely not taking that taxi.
Nope.
So this is definitely a trade of side lanes, right? And Kar's getting pushed bottom side, Rascal getting on the top side, but he does have teleport, so he can be here at a moment's notice. And I don't think Karis will be able to secure this if KT actually commit.
It is dangerous, but as you can see, Life and Kaz are going to rotate over, so Vikla will be able to secure this wave. And Samdi, I don't think is going to be able to put on too much pressure given the fact that those minions are going to run out. A lot of vision here for HLE Esports around this Dragon Pit. There's still 2 minutes. Fighting for the bottom side of the map is not all that necessary.
Camille is just getting so much value this game because even though it's a turret for a turret in side lane, the turret that HLE Esports are pushing towards has KT members on top of it. Over here, nobody's home. 600 gold in the pockets.
I mean, this is exactly what we were talking about, right? Like this is the advantage that KT has. Their 4-1 composition is much stronger, and they can 1-3-1 if they want to stop Karis at the same time. Whereas the 1-3-1 not quite as possible here for HLE Esports with the Scion that would much prefer to be engaging and starting fights and things like this rather than trying to catch waves, because Rascal will just be able to ignore him as the game goes on. Ravenous Hydra especially will help with that.
Oh, 100%. And HLE Esports just didn't utilize the power of their bottom side very well. They ended up losing control of that lane, and we didn't see Karis find any opportunities on the top side of the map because it's so difficult to pull off against a Camille, and then on the bottom side just didn't have enough control, was being pushed in by Kaz and Vikla. Kaz visited the mid lane so many times to make sure that Karis didn't have prio, had to sit back defensively, had the better vision control in both rivers all game long. And, it just really shows how well KT played this comp. Means that HLE Esports have to play the rest of this game on hard mode now. Because in their strongest moment with this comp, they actually were behind. And that's how you lose games like this, unfortunately.
Yep. They can still find that, the dream scenario where they lock down aiming and kill him or something like that. But diving on top and trying to pick off an Aphelios is kind of exactly where the guy wants you, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is the thing that's really worrying now as HLE get further and further behind. The win more options for KT are sort of ever present. There's so many different options
he has
that
cleanse,
they can go for.
Against this Twisted Fate, so the gold card isn't a guaranteed engage, even with Rapid Fire Cannon done here for Karis. Like, Aiming can just cleanse that. Then he's got a Nautilus who can bodyguard him. He's got Kuz who can crescent guard people away. And Stopwatch is available here for Vikla, so he can go super deep. Things are starting to look pretty dire. Now, HLE Esports do have Prio on this Drake, so choke points are controlled by them. But not a whole lot of AoE damage to speak of, around these. And Jin is going to wait till the last moment to pull the trigger, you have to imagine. If he pulls it early, KT can just wait it out.
Well, it's going to be Life going in for some attempted engage. In goes the Camille. No heroic entrance going to come down just yet, as the curtains are being called and Dudu is going to get taken out. Vikla trying to get out of there as we're holding onto the last bullet. It connects onto the Gargoyle. but he's fighting a zombie that came back to life again, so he will be back to the death chamber eventually. Dudu, 30 seconds until he's back in this fight, and that means KT have control of this. Drake and Soul Point under wraps.
They'll take a turret.
Oh, okay. In goes Rascal. The heroic entrance is there, but it hasn't been pressed. There it is now, as OnFleek's going to have to flash to get out of the way. And unfortunately, Karis is not going to be so lucky. The Twisted Fate, 100% surrounded, and will get taken out.
Super.
And now it's Dragon time.
Super clean. I literally said the words, KT will be happy to just say, okay, you can have a turret, but we'll take Soul Point. But actually, they were not happy with that. They were like, okay, we'll actually take both. We'll kill everybody, defend the turret, and take the Drake, because they have the heroic entrance, and they punish Hanwha Esports' big overextension there. Didn't look like one, because it looked like KT were just going to turn and try to rush the Drake down, but they didn't have to. Jin's ultimate being down in that fight meant that KT had full agency, and I like the way this fight was set up for Hanwha Esports. They have choke point control. They want to punish Life here, right? If they can blow him up first, then kite back and use the Jin ultimate, it's great. But there's just so much follow-up here for KT Rolster, because on this Xin Zhao gets on top of the back line. You also have that follow-up here from Rascal, locking down Dudu, blowing him up, then waiting out the rest of that curtain call by just walking away from it, then turning here on to the punish, as Rascal is just everywhere this game, man. Holds his teleports the last possible seconds, goes for this engage. Heroic entrance follow-up is good, and there's just so much CC on both sides here. But KT have the longer ability to team fight because they have Nephelios. They've got so much more of it.
Well, we've got another fight going off here as well, as Cuz going to dive on forward. OnFleek is really dead, so let's move further down as Vista takes so much damage from Rascal. And HLE Esports, their problem is they have 0 damage. There's no damage on this team. Nope. And so therefore, Rascal dives into 4 people, and he's like, what are you going to do? And they're like, ha ha.
The Jin in this composition needs to have a tempo advantage, like we were talking about in bottom side. Is Dudu also getting collapsed on here? I don't think they can kill him under this turret if he hits his Q.
Well, Dudu
Am I wrong?
Hanging out here, and that is true damage, if you do not mind. Good sir.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess he's just dead. True damage coming through, and he had the follow-up there, or Life, helped follow up onto him. Now they're just going to take this Baron. Man, this couldn't be more one-sided, unfortunately, for Hanwha Esports. And we knew there were some issues in this draft, but if you don't get ahead with this, like you said, there's no damage. The Twisted Fate is just a pea shooter, and he's a stun bot, but then once the stun is done, like KT's turn and their follow-up CC is just beautiful. You can't even be out in the mid lane.
Look at Rascal's health bar in amongst 4 people. It's like he gets ulted by Dudu and stunned and things like, but there's like no consistent follow-up at all.
Jin has an ultimate and he will use it, and it's very strong utility-wise. This is the pick on the Dudu again. But he doesn't have damage output that is going to help you in a longer fight. Like, he's kind of one and done unless he's fed, and he's not. And the idea was to get him fed this game, but then they didn't execute on it. Twisted Fate ulted for the first time, like, at what, like 12 minutes, maybe even later. It took a million years for him to actually do anything this game, and they just got out-tempoed by Cuz. Cuz is, I think, easily going to pick up POG this game. His performance has been fantastic.
He really has, and I like that you mentioned the fact that if Hanwha don't get ahead, right? Because these compositions that look on paper like they have 0 damage, in the early game, everyone kind of has damage, right? And if you snowball effectively enough, then Twisted Fate can look like a nuclear bomb, right?
Yeah.
He lands one of those cards, it half-elves someone, right? But it means that the win condition is so narrow. If Hanwha don't get the best snowball ever in the early game, and honestly, they didn't really do anything to try and get it either, which is the real shame here.
That's the real problem, right?
Yeah. But like, if they don't do that, where's their fallback?
Exactly.
They don't have a fallback option at all, which is why we consider this not a great draft, because there's no flexibility in it. KT, though, they fall behind. They have defensive options. They have split push options. If it's Rascal, it's the only one that's winning, then they can play through him.
Yeah,
Things like this. If Aiming gets ahead, they can play through him. And it's really, really good.
If you sign up for the gym but never go, it's not going to make an impact. If you draft
Meanwhile,
this
Rascal is like 1v4 again underneath the turret. This time he's going to go into his stopwatch as OnFleek, going to get knocked up by the depth charge. Dredgeline comes in as well as Dudu is also going to die. Felt a little bit like that was an afterthought as he'll get knocked up. The curtains have been called, but I don't know whether it's for KT or for HLE Esports. But he does manage to find Aiming with that last bullet, as now the Destiny will come forward. Teleport back though from Rascal, and he is so scary. Karis goes into his Zhonya's just to watch as 4 members barrel in on top of him. And this is what we were talking about. If you don't find your advantages through aiming, it's all right. You've got a pretty big Camille.
Yeah, 6-1-4 this game. survived that follow-up from on Fleek. I mean, that was a huge turning point, actually, when he was able to grasp and get out of there all the way back at the beginning of this game. And, you know, Hanwha Life Esports just were so far on the back foot because they didn't use their comp correctly. Now Rascal, I mean, this is just like a highlight reel for him. And he might pick up a few votes here, but I think Fuzz has just not only got him ahead, but also has just been everywhere on the map.
In the meantime, Vikler is trying to get your vote right here, looking for a pick onto Vista. I think from that, he's not going to get the vote, as Vista grins and walks away. But there's 12 seconds on this Infernal Soul. KT still have complete control of the entire map. And we're seeing the fact that Hanwha have absolutely no options. The Destiny is still on cooldown. His Twisted Fate looking really balanced in this game.
That kill onto aiming really stopped KT from ending the game at that moment, but like it's delaying the inevitable because now you have Infernal Soul with this comp with an Aphelios that also has his third item complete, and now is the time where the Scion just gets shredded by him, if not shredded by Rascal first, because he's 3 levels down on this Camille.
Yeah.
It's kind of a nasty situation here, don't know what else to tell you guys. It's a problem.
It's called a drain circling.
Yeah.
That is what we're seeing from Hanwha Life Esports here is KT looking to try and bear down on this turret. They don't have a lot of siege. They do kind of rely on Baron in order to push into these turrets. However, when you've got 2 inhibitors down and Rascal, it does mean that you can distract them for a decent amount of time. So the fact that they utilize their last Baron means they will be able to take down the last remaining inhibitor. And it looks like Hanwha are going to struggle to hold them off, especially now against the newly appointed Infernal Soul. And Rascal, like, yeah, he's just chilling. I'm just going to go grab myself and Nexus turret.
Yeah, he's level 18 casually, you know, maxed out on everything.
He's 3 levels above dude. Oh my god.
Yeah, he has been for a while too.
Dude doing on fleek and doing some practicing.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
It feels bad, man. Remember, this is such an important match for Hanwha Life Esports, but they could not use their comp well in this.
It reminds
game.
me of the Senna Scion thing, you know, where you're supposed to get like the minion to like stun a target that I think G2 managed to do once or something like that. I saw an example of it. Certainly looked really cool, but that was a bit different. That's like lease-in delivery service.
Yeah. Well, they do stave off this push from KT, and KT decide that they're not going to all in. I think they definitely could have with all of the ultimates they have on, but it looks like they just really want to demoralize Hanwha Life Esports. And now they can come over here and set up for the Baron.
Oh, yeah, okay. Maybe Rascal does get it. I mean, that's a 6,000 gold. It's pretty good.
Okay, but like, this is another chicken and the egg situation, right?
No, yeah, no.
Like,
I was kidding, But I mean, I see cash like that, that's where I invest.
No, I mean, I'm actually thinking about it too as well here for Rascal because he played so many individual moments extremely well in these team fights. But
and also like that first play at the very beginning where he avoided on fleek after being joined by Cuz for that first kill, like he's also their entire win condition at this stage of the game, very close to a flame horizon. I mean, if I was a Rascal salesman, I think it'd be a pretty easy job.
Yeah, I still think I'm leaning towards Cuz because of how much of an advantage he gave the rest of the team and how much he gapped on Fleek super hard.
True, he is playing a tank and hasn't died though, so that means that he hasn't done the maximum of his job. As this Baron is going down extraordinarily quickly, the Destiny has come in, but it's not. Oh, it almost gets the steal, but that is so much damage from aiming. Triple kill immediately as the Aphelios just shows how many years were invested into collecting that Baron.
Well, I mean, look, if we were talking about voting and stuff, like, I think aiming might have just gotten some media votes right there. He definitely picked up a few media votes right there with that ultimate, and that's
like aiming can have the mad movie, Rascal can have the POG.
Yeah, there you go.
As the Nexus turrets will go down, the Nexus soon to follow. Hanwha Life Esports back to the drawing board after that one, I'm afraid. As Twisted Fate, not a pick and forget type pick. You need to have a little bit more in your arsenal to make it work. As Rascal, look at that walk away, man. That is a guy that just went into a boxing ring, got like an instant knockout, and he's like, I'm bored.
He looks like he almost feels bad. Like he looked guilty. Like, oh man, what do we have to do him that dirty? Like we probably could have ended the game twice, but we walked away and then beat him on a.
He's like,
Dodu
or doesn't even have a pre-evolution.